The morning I thought we were going to make pancakes with our granddaughter, she leaned in close, her small hand gripping my wrist, and whispered 6 words that changed everything. "They're sending you away today, Grandma." I sat perfectly still on the living room couch, my hands folded in my lap the way I'd taught middle schoolers to sit during assemblies for 30 years. But my heart was hammering against my ribs like it wanted out. Beside me, my husband William went rigid, his coffee cup frozen halfway to his lips. Lily, our 8-year-old granddaughter with her mother's dark hair, and thank God none of her coldness, had tears pooling in her brown eyes. "I heard Mommy and Daddy talking last night," she whispered, barely audible. "They said something about Pinecrest and today being the day. Grandma, what's Pinecrest?" I wanted to tell her it was nothing, that she'd misheard, that adults sometimes say things that sound scary but aren't. But the way my son Derek's voice had changed over the past few months, careful, distant, guilty, told me Lily had heard exactly right. "It's okay, sweetheart," I managed, my voice steadier than I felt. I touched her cheek. "You did the right thing telling us." From the kitchen I heard them, Derek and Jennifer, my son and his wife. Their voices carried that particular quality of people who think they're being quiet, but aren't quite quiet enough. "Robert Hayes confirmed everything's ready," Jennifer said. Her voice had that efficient, matter-of-fact tone she used for business calls. "The room at Pinecrest is available. We can move them this afternoon." I looked at William. 62 years of marriage meant I could read every emotion that crossed his face. Right now, shock, hurt, and something else. Something sharper, recognition, like a puzzle piece finally clicking into place. We'd known something was wrong. We just hadn't let ourselves see how wrong. The invitation had seemed like a blessing. William had suffered a mild heart attack in March. Nothing major, the doctors said, but enough to scare us both. Our house, the one we'd lived in for 40 years, suddenly felt too big. Too many stairs, too much yard work, too many memories in every corner that now felt more exhausting than comforting. When Derek called and said, "Mom, Dad, why don't you come live with us? We've got that whole upstairs suite. Lily would love having you around," I'd actually cried with relief. "Are you sure?" I'd asked. "We don't want to be a burden." "Mom, stop. You're not a burden. You're family." Famous last words. The first month was good. Better than good. Jennifer cooked my favorite pot roast. Derek came home from his financial consulting firm early to have dinner with us. Lily brought us dandelions from the backyard and insisted we were the best grandparents in the world. I should have known it was too perfect to last. The changes started small. So small I told myself I was being paranoid. It was mid-May when Jennifer reorganized the kitchen. I came down one morning to find all the spices I'd carefully arranged, alphabetized, labeled, some from my own garden, dumped into a plastic bin and shoved in a corner cabinet. "I hope you don't mind," Jennifer said brightly, not looking at me. "I'm implementing a new system. Everything has a place now, more efficient." "Of course," I said, because what else could I say? It was her kitchen, technically. Never mind that I'd been cooking in it every day for a month. The dishes I used for Lily's breakfast, the ones at eye level, were moved to the top shelf. The step stool disappeared. When I asked about it, Jennifer said, "Oh, we donated that old thing, too wobbly. Didn't want anyone getting hurt." The anyone she meant was me. Then came the smart lock on the living room sliding door. "It's for security," Derek explained when I couldn't figure out how to open it to let the cat out. "Here, let me show you." He demonstrated twice, but the digital interface made no sense to my fingers. After that, I had to ask permission, actually ask, to access the backyard of the house I lived in. "You're being dramatic," I told myself. "They're just trying to help." But the help felt a lot like being erased. "Dad, we need to talk about the driving." William and I were sitting in the living room when Derek came in, wearing what I called his serious business face. Jennifer stood in the doorway, arms crossed, silent support. "What about it?" William asked. My husband's voice was calm, but I saw his jaw tighten. "Last week, when you drove to the grocery store, Mrs. Patterson called. She said you drifted into her lane on Maple Street." I corrected immediately, William said. There was a cyclist. I gave them space. Dad, you're 74. Your reaction time isn't what it used to be. My reaction time is fine, Derek sighed. Look, I'm not trying to insult you. I'm trying to keep everyone safe. What if next time there's an accident? What if someone gets hurt? Jennifer finally spoke. We're just worried. This is hard for us too, you know. That phrase. Hard for us. As if William's dignity, his independence, his ability to drive himself to the hardware store he'd been going to for 40 years was somehow an inconvenience to them. How about this? Derek said, softening. Let me take the car in for an oil change. We'll have it checked out, make sure everything's running smoothly. Then we can revisit this conversation. William agreed. He shouldn't have. The car never came back. 2 weeks later, I saw the empty spot in the garage and asked Derek about it. Oh, he said, not quite meeting my eyes. The mechanic said the transmission was going. It would have cost more to fix than the car was worth. I sold it to a salvage yard. Got $300. You sold our car? I kept my voice level. Without asking us? Mom, it was a safety issue. You guys don't really need a car anyway. There's Uber, Lyft, grocery delivery. It's actually more convenient. Convenient. For them. That night I lay awake listening to William's breathing beside me. He hadn't said a word since Derek told us about the car. But I knew my husband. The silence wasn't acceptance. It was hurt too deep for words. I discovered it by accident. I'd gone to pick Lily up from school, walked the 1.5 miles there, which my doctor said was good for me anyway. When I arrived at the classroom, Lily's teacher, Mrs. Anderson, looked surprised to see me. Oh, Mrs. Carter, how nice to finally meet Lily's grandmother. She talks about you all the time. Finally? I asked. I've picked her up before. Mrs. Anderson's smile faltered. Oh, well, I just meant, Jennifer mentioned that you and your husband have some memory issues, so the school policy is not to release Lily to anyone except her parents without written permission each time. The floor tilted under my feet. Memory issues. I had misplaced my grocery list once, and somehow that had turned into Jennifer telling the school I couldn't be trusted with my own granddaughter. I see, I said quietly. There's been a misunderstanding. I don't have memory issues, but I appreciate you following protocol. I didn't pick Lily up again after that. Not because I couldn't, because I was no longer sure what other lies Jennifer had told about me, and I wasn't going to put Lily in the middle. That night at dinner I brought it up. Carefully, calmly. Jennifer, I ran into Mrs. Anderson today. She mentioned something about memory issues. Jennifer didn't even blink. Did I say that? I probably just mentioned that you're getting older and sometimes forget things. We all do. It's not a big deal, Rose. It is when it means I can't pick up my granddaughter. Well, maybe if you'd told us you were going to pick her up, there wouldn't have been confusion. Communication, Rose. It goes both ways. Derek said nothing. He was very good at saying nothing. Mom, Dad, let's talk about your finances. Derek had brought his laptop to the dinner table, which already told me this wasn't a casual conversation. What about them? William asked. Look, I know managing bills and investments can be overwhelming at your age. What if I took some of that off your plate? I'm a financial consultant. This is literally what I do. We're managing fine, I said. Are you, though? Jennifer interjected. Derek mentioned you forgot to pay the electric bill last month. We didn't forget, William said sharply. There was a discrepancy in the amount. I called to dispute it. Right, but it still went to collections. That affects your credit score. Your credit score matters for what? I asked. We're not buying a house. We're not taking out loans. What do we need credit for? Derek put on his patient voice, the one that made me feel like a child. Mom, just let me help. I'll set up auto pay for everything. You won't have to think about it. He slid papers across the table. This is just a limited power of attorney. It lets me manage your accounts, pay bills, make sure nothing falls through the cracks. You'll still have access to everything. I'm just helping. I should have read those papers more carefully. I should have asked questions. I should have trusted the knot in my stomach that said something wasn't right. But I didn't, because he was my son. Because I wanted to believe he had our best interests at heart. Because being suspicious of your own child feels like failing as a parent. I signed. William signed. And just like that, we gave Derek the keys to our financial lives. It was 3 weeks before I checked our savings account and saw that $50,000 was missing. "Derek, there's money missing from our account." He looked up from his phone, unconcerned. "Oh, that. Yeah, I moved it to a high-yield investment account. Way better returns. Don't worry, it's completely safe." "You moved $50,000 without telling us?" "Mom, that's what the POA is for. So I can make smart financial moves without having to bother you with every little detail. You'll thank me when you see the returns." But when I asked for the account information, he got vague. "I'll email it to you. Things are just really hectic at work right now." He never emailed it, and I never pushed. God, I wish I had pushed. Which brings us back to this morning, to Lily's whisper, to the voices in the kitchen making plans for our lives without us. I sat frozen on that couch, listening to my son and daughter-in-law discuss the logistics of our removal like we were furniture they'd outgrown. "What time did Robert say he could be here?" Derek asked. "Noon. He'll bring the admission papers. We sign as their representatives, they countersign, and Pinecrest handles the move." "What if they resist?" A pause. Then Jennifer's voice, cool as January. "Derek, they won't resist. They never do. Your mother's too polite, and your father doesn't want to cause problems. They'll go along with it because that's what they do." Something cracked inside my chest. Not my heart breaking. That had been breaking in small ways for months. This was different. This was something hard and cold crystallizing. Clarity. They were right about one thing. I had been too polite. I had swallowed every small humiliation, every casual cruelty, every boundary crossed. I'd told myself it was temporary, that things would get better, that I was being oversensitive. But there's a difference between being polite and being a doormat. And I was done being the latter. I turned to William. His face was pale, but his eyes, those blue eyes that had looked at me with love for 62 years, were burning with the same crystalline clarity I felt. "We're leaving," I whispered. "When?" he whispered back. "Now." Lily looked between us, frightened. "Grandma?" I took her small face in my hands. "Baby girl, Grandma and Grandpa need to go on a trip, an important trip, and I need you to be brave for just a little while longer." "Are you mad at me for telling?" "Never. You were the bravest person in this house today. Don't you ever forget that." I kissed her forehead, breathing in the strawberry scent of her shampoo, memorizing the feel of her skinny arms around my neck. Then William and I stood up and walked upstairs. We had 20 minutes, maybe less, before Derek and Jennifer realized we'd overheard. 20 minutes to pack a life. But here's what I'd learned in 72 years. You don't need much to start over. Just your dignity, your documents, and the determination to never let anyone make you small again. I grabbed our passports, birth certificates, the deed to our old house that we'd never transferred to Derek despite his requests. I grabbed my grandmother's ring, William's father's watch, and the photo album that went back to when Derek was born. William packed our medications, his reading glasses, and the carved wooden box that held the letters I'd written him during his deployment to Vietnam. And then, from the back of my closet, I pulled out the small leather notebook where I'd been keeping our backup account, the one I'd opened 6 months ago when something deep in my gut told me to keep one financial secret. Just one. We had $47,000 they didn't know about. It wasn't much, but it was ours. As we packed, the voices downstairs grew louder. Not arguing, but planning. We caught fragments. The upstairs could finally be my home office. And honestly, we need the space. Lily's getting too attached anyway. That last one hit me like a physical blow. Too attached. To her grandparents. We were packed in 18 minutes. Before we left, I went to Lily's room. She was sitting on her bed, the little locket William had given her clutched in her hand. "Grandpa gave me this," she said. "He said it was important." I knelt beside her, my knees screaming in protest, but I didn't care. "It is important. Because you're important, Lily. And I need you to remember something. Are you listening? She nodded. Family isn't about blood. It's about who shows up, who listens, who tells the truth even when it's scary. You did that today. You told the truth. That makes you braver than most adults I know. Will I see you again? Yes, I promise. But it might be a while, and things might be confusing. But you keep that locket, and you remember that Grandma and Grandpa love you more than anything. Okay? Okay. I hugged her one more time. Then I let go. William and I walked downstairs. The voices in the kitchen were still going, still planning, still assuming we'd comply. We walked out the back door. The morning air was cool and clean. October in Seattle, the sky that particular shade of silver that means rain is coming. William's hand found mine. Where are we going? He asked. I need to make a phone call first, I said. To Sarah Mitchell. Sarah, my college roommate, my friend for 50 years, the one who'd moved to Montana after her husband died and had been begging us to visit. Sarah, who I'd called 2 weeks ago and told everything to. Sarah, who'd said, Rose, if you ever need to disappear for a while, I have a cabin with your name on it. I pulled out my phone, the old flip phone I'd kept despite Derek's insistence I didn't need one, and dialed. Sarah, it's Rose. That offer you made? I'm taking you up on it. When? Today. Now. A pause. Then, I'll have the coffee ready. We walked to the corner where I called a cab. While we waited, I looked back at the house where we'd lived for 6 months, the house where we'd been slowly erased. My phone buzzed. A text from Derek. Hey, Mom, where did you guys go? Jennifer's making lunch. I turned off the phone. The cab arrived. As we pulled away, I saw Derek come out the front door, looking around, confused. I didn't wave. I didn't look back, because this wasn't running away. This was the first honest choice I'd made in 6 months, and it was just the beginning. The drive to Montana took 12 hours. We stopped twice, once for gas, once at a rest stop where William bought us bitter coffee and stale sandwiches that we barely touched. We didn't talk much. What was there to say? Our son had planned to warehouse us like forgotten furniture, and we'd overheard the whole thing. Sarah Mitchell's cabin sat on the eastern shore of Flathead Lake, surrounded by ponderosa pines and the kind of quiet that makes city people nervous. When we pulled up in our rented car, I'd paid cash at the airport using money from our secret account. Sarah was already on the porch, gray hair pulled back, wearing the same warm smile I'd known since we were 18. She didn't ask questions. She just pulled me into a hug that smelled like lavender and wood smoke, then did the same to William. Spare room's ready, she said. There's soup on the stove. You two look like you need to sleep for a week. She was right. For the first 2 days, William and I barely spoke. We moved through Sarah's cabin like ghosts, eating when she put food in front of us, sitting on the porch watching the lake, going to bed when darkness fell. I couldn't stop replaying it. Jennifer's voice. They won't resist. They never do. The casual cruelty of it. The assumption that we were too old, too tired, too compliant to fight back. She'd been right. We hadn't fought back. Not when they took our car. Not when they reorganized our lives. Not when they started making decisions about us, for us, without us. But we were fighting back now. Even if it didn't feel like fighting. Even if it just felt like running. On the 3rd morning, I woke to find William's side of the bed empty. I found him outside, splitting firewood even though Sarah had plenty. His shirt was soaked with sweat, and tears were streaming down his face. William? He drove the axe into the stump and just stood there, shoulders shaking. I built houses for 40 years, he said, his voice breaking. I taught Derek how to hammer a nail when he was 5, remember? That little birdhouse he made for Mother's Day? I still have it in the garage back home. I remember. How did I raise a son he couldn't finish? He just pressed his palms against his eyes like he could push the tears back in. I walked over and wrapped my arms around him from behind. We stood like that for a long time, 2 people who'd been married for 62 years, holding each other up. He's not evil, William, I finally said. He's weak. And weakness wrapped in good intentions can be crueler than malice because it doesn't even know what it's doing. Does that make it better or worse? I don't know, but I know we're not going back. Sarah had a laptop. She'd worked as a hospital administrator before retiring, and she knew her way around technology better than most people half her age. On the fourth day, she set me up at her kitchen table with coffee and a legal pad. "What are we looking for?" she asked. "The truth," I said. "All of it." I started with our bank accounts, the ones Derek had access to through the power of attorney. My hands shook as I logged in, half afraid of what I'd find. $50,000 missing. I'd known that. What I hadn't known, there were other transfers, smaller ones. $3,000 here, $5,000 there, all to an account I didn't recognize. "Sarah, what's a Torres Development LLC?" She typed quickly, then went quiet. "Rose, it's a real estate development company out of Bellevue, run by a Michael Torres." The name meant nothing to me, but when Sarah dug deeper, pulling up business registration documents and LinkedIn profiles, she found something that made my stomach drop. Michael Torres, former spouse, Jennifer Ann Patterson, Jennifer's ex-husband. "They're investing our money with her ex?" I said slowly. "Does Derek even know?" We kept digging. Sarah showed me how to access cached emails, deleted browsing history, things I didn't even know were possible. And there, in a recovered email from Jennifer to Derek dated 3 months ago, was the truth spelled out in her efficient clinical language. "Babe, I ran the numbers. If we transition your parents to assisted living, we free up $4,200 a month in current expenses. Plus, the POA gives us access to their retirement accounts, $380K total. With Michael's development deal closing in Q4, we could leverage their assets as collateral for the down payment. By the time they need serious medical care, Medicaid will cover it. It's literally a win-win." I read it 3 times. Then I printed it. Then I called Robert Hayes, the attorney Sarah recommended, a man in his 60s who specialized in elder law and had seen enough financial abuse cases to fill a book. "Mrs. Carter," he said after I'd explained everything, "what Derek did, moving those funds, using the POA beyond its scope, that crosses into illegal territory. We can get your money back. But more importantly, we can make sure he never has access again." "What do I need to do?" "First, don't revoke the POA yet. Let him think he still has control. Second, document everything. Third, we move your remaining assets into a protected trust. And fourth, you get him on record, admitting what he did. Phone call, video, something we can use if this goes to court." My heart was pounding. "You want me to call my son and trick him into a confession?" "I want you to call your son and give him a chance to tell the truth." It took me 2 weeks to work up the courage. 2 weeks of Sarah coaching me, of Robert preparing me, of William holding my hand and saying, "You can do this, Rose. You're stronger than you think." Montana is a one-party consent state. That means I could legally record the call without telling Derek. I set up the laptop, hit record, and dialed. He answered on the second ring. "Mom? Oh my God, where are you? We've been worried sick." His voice was so familiar, so achingly familiar. For a moment, I almost lost my nerve. "Have you, Derek?" I kept my voice steady, calm. "Of course. You just disappeared. Jennifer's been calling hospitals, filing missing person reports." "That's interesting. I called Dr. Green yesterday. She said no one had contacted her about us." Silence, long and heavy. We were about to... "Tell me about Pinecrest Senior Living, Derek." I heard him inhale sharply. "How did you..." Lily told you." "An 8-year-old child showed more courage than you did." "Mom, it's not what you think." "Then what is it, Derek?" My voice was still steady, but something harder was creeping in. "Explain to me why you took $127,000 from our accounts. Explain the emails about leveraging our assets. Explain why you sold our car without asking. Explain why you were planning to move us into a nursing home without our consent." "I was trying to help," his voice cracked. "Dad's not safe driving anymore, you know that. And the money, I was investing it for you, for better returns." "With your wife's ex-husband's company?" The silence this time was deafening. "Mom, how much do you know?" "Everything, Derek. I know about Michael Torres. I know about the Bellevue development deal. I know Jennifer thinks our eventual medical care will be Medicaid's problem once you've spent our money. I know you were planning to use our assets as collateral for an investment property. Should I keep going?" "Mom, please." He was crying now, really crying. "It sounds worse than it is. Jennifer she's practical. She thinks long term. It wasn't about hurting you. No, Derek. It was about using us. There's a difference. Can we talk about this? Face to face. Please come home. We can work this out." "Home?" The word tasted bitter. "You were planning to take our home. Let me tell you what's going to happen instead." I pulled out the list Robert and I had prepared. My hand wasn't shaking anymore. "First, the power of attorney is revoked as of this morning. Our lawyer filed the paperwork at 8 a.m. Pacific time. Second, you will return every penny you took, all $127,000 transferred back to our original account within 72 hours, or I file a police report for financial elder abuse. And Derek, I have the emails, I have the transaction records, I have everything. Third, you will sign an affidavit admitting what you did and why. That document stays with our lawyer. If you ever attempt anything like this again, it goes public. Fourth, you will tell Lily the truth, age-appropriate but honest. She deserves to know that adults she loves can make terrible mistakes. Fifth, we will not see you or Jennifer for a minimum of 6 months. After that, if, and only if, you've done serious work to understand the harm you caused, we'll consider talking. Sixth, your name is removed from our will. Everything goes into a trust for Lily, with conditions. She won't get it until she's 25, and only if she meets certain requirements that teach her about integrity, something you failed to learn." Derek was sobbing openly now. "Mom, please, you're destroying our family." "No, Derek." My voice was ice. "You did that when you decided we were obstacles instead of people. You did that when you chose money over your own parents. You did that when you planned our removal like we were furniture you'd outgrown. I'm just making sure you can't destroy us any further." "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. This is all my fault. Jennifer pushed, but I'm the one who agreed. I'm the one who signed the papers. I'm the one who betrayed you." At least he was being honest now. "You have 72 hours, Derek. After that, I call the police." "Mom, wait!" I hung up. For a long moment, I just sat there, staring at the phone. Then I started shaking, not with fear, with something else, something that felt almost like power. William, who'd been listening from the doorway, came and wrapped his arms around me. "You did it," he whispered. "I did it," I echoed, but I didn't feel triumphant. I felt empty, like I'd just cut off a diseased limb to save my life. Necessary, but not painless. Sarah brought me tea. "How do you feel?" "Like I should feel worse than I do." "That's the clarity talking," she said gently. "Clarity doesn't feel like relief at first. It feels like loss. You lost the son you thought you had. But Rose, you never really had him. You had an idea of him. Now you're dealing with who he actually is." That night, I cried for the first time since we left Seattle. Not quiet tears. Big, ugly, soul-deep sobs that left me gasping. I cried for the little boy who'd brought me dandelions and called me his best friend. I cried for the young man who'd promised at his wedding that he'd always take care of us. I cried for the mother I'd been, who must have failed somewhere along the way. William held me through all of it, his own tears soaking into my hair. "We didn't fail," he said as if reading my mind. "We loved him. We gave him everything. What he chose to do with that, that's on him, not us." The money came back, all of it, $127,000 deposited into our account at 11:47 p.m. on the third day. The affidavit arrived by courier the next morning. 10 pages of Derek admitting everything: the unauthorized transfers, the plan to move us to Pinecrest, the investment scheme with Michael Torres, all of it. His signature at the bottom looked shaky, nothing like his usual confident scrawl. There was a note tucked inside. Mom and Dad, I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. I'll spend the rest of my life trying to understand how I became someone who could do this to you. I told Lily the truth. She's angry with me. She should be. I'm not asking for anything. Just wanted you to know I'm trying to be the son you deserved all along. Derek. I folded the note and put it in my pocket. What do we do now? William asked. I looked out at the lake, at the mountains beyond, at the life we were building in this unexpected place. Now, I said, we heal, we build, we remember who we are when no one's trying to erase us. Sarah joined us on the porch with coffee. I got something in the mail today, she said, handing me a pink envelope. It's addressed to you. The handwriting was careful, childish, achingly familiar. Lily. My hands trembled as I opened it. Dear Grandma and Grandpa, I miss you. Daddy told me what happened. He cried a lot. I'm mad at him, but I still love him. Is that okay? I wear the locket every day. It makes me feel brave like you. Come home when you're ready. I'll wait forever if I have to. Love, Lily, P.S. I started reading Charlotte's Web like you said. You were right. It's better than the movie. I pressed the letter to my chest and let the tears come. We weren't done. This wasn't over. But for the first time in months, I felt like maybe, just maybe, we were going to be okay. The lake was still, the sky was clearing, and somewhere in Seattle, a little girl with a locket around her neck was learning that love doesn't mean accepting everything. Sometimes it means having the courage to walk away. And sometimes, if you're very lucky, it means finding your way back. But not yet. Not yet. Month 4, February. The snow had just started to melt when I heard the knock on Sarah's door. It was a Saturday afternoon. William and I were playing Scrabble by the fireplace, something we hadn't done in years, and Sarah was in the kitchen making her famous chili. Normal, peaceful, the kind of afternoon that didn't prepare you for your past showing up on the doorstep. Sarah opened the door, and I heard a voice that made my entire body go rigid. Ms. Mitchell? I'm Derek, Sarah Carter. I'm here to see my parents. If they'll see me. I set down my Scrabble tiles. I'd been about to play Trust for a triple word score, which felt like the universe had a cruel sense of humor. Sarah looked back at me, eyebrows raised in question. I shook my head. No. But William stood up. Rose? It's been 4 months, I said quietly. We agreed to 6. He couldn't even wait. Maybe we should hear what he has to say. Why? So he can apologize and think that magically fixes everything? William knelt beside my chair, his knees cracking in protest. No, so we can say what we need to say, face to face, on our terms. I looked at my husband, this man who'd stood beside me through wars, recessions, the death of parents, the joy of births, 62 years of everything life could throw at us. His eyes were calm, clear. Okay, I whispered. But not inside, on the porch, and Sarah stays. The air was cold enough to see our breath. Derek sat in the wooden chair across from the porch swing where William and I sat, Sarah standing quietly by the door like a gentle sentinel. My son looked terrible. He'd lost weight. His eyes were shadowed with sleeplessness. His hands kept fidgeting with the zipper of his jacket, a nervous habit he'd had since childhood. For 2 full minutes, nobody spoke. Just the sound of the lake lapping against the shore and the wind through the pines. I don't have a speech prepared, Derek finally said. I thought about what to say for 12 hours of driving, but everything sounded like excuses. Then don't make excuses, I said. I won't. He took a shaky breath. Here's the truth. I failed you. I failed as a son, as a human being. I let Jennifer convince me that efficiency mattered more than empathy. I told myself I was helping when I was really just taking the easy way out. William's voice was steady. Why did you do it, Derek? The real reason. Derek's face crumpled slightly. Because I was scared. Of what? I asked. Of watching you get old. The words came out in a rush. Of watching Dad forget things. Of Mom needing more help. Of the responsibility. Of Jennifer judging me. Of not having enough money for Lily's future and your care. Of failing everyone. He pressed his palms against his eyes. So I made it clinical. A financial decision. A space issue. Anything to avoid admitting I was terrified of losing you slowly. So you decided to lose us quickly? William's question hung in the cold air. I know. God, I know how insane that sounds. Derek was crying now, tears freezing on his cheeks. I have no defense except that I was weak. Jennifer made it sound logical, and I wanted to believe her because facing the truth was too hard. And what is the truth? I asked. That I should have just asked for help. That I should have said, Mom, Dad, I'm struggling. Can we figure this out together? But I didn't trust you enough to be vulnerable with you. I didn't trust myself enough to admit I couldn't handle it all. He pulled out a manila envelope from his jacket. I brought something. Jennifer and I separated. These are the divorce papers. She fought it at first, but when I showed her the affidavit, when I told her I'd go public if she didn't agree to a quiet split, she signed. I felt William stiffen beside me. I'm not telling you this for sympathy, Derek continued. I'm telling you because you deserve to know that I chose her over you, and that was unforgivable. So I'm making a different choice now. What about Lily? William asked quietly. Joint custody. I have her most of the time. Jennifer took a job in San Francisco, some big corporate law firm. She sees Lily once a month. He looked at me directly for the first time. Lily asked me to ask you if she could visit. Not me, just her. She misses you so much it's breaking my heart. Something cracked in my chest, but I kept my voice level. You think showing up here and crying fixes this? You think divorcing Jennifer makes you a hero? No. Derek stayed seated, kept his voice quiet. I don't think anything fixes this. Then why are you here? Because Lily told me something last week. She said, Daddy, when you make a mistake, you have to say sorry even if it doesn't fix it. You say sorry because it's the truth. His voice broke. She's 8 years old and she understands integrity better than I do. I stood up, my whole body shaking. Do you know what you took from us? Not the money. We got that back. You took our dignity, our trust, our sense of home. You made us feel like we were burdens instead of people. Derek stood too, but kept his distance. I know. Do you? Do you really know what it feels like to hear your own child plan your removal like your furniture? To realize you raised someone capable of calculating your worth in dollars? No, I can't imagine. His face was wet with tears and melting snow. And I'm not asking for forgiveness, Mom. I don't deserve it. I'm just asking if someday, maybe years from now, there could be a path back. Not to how things were. That's dead. But to something. Anything. William spoke, his voice heavy. Derek, answer me honestly. If we hadn't found out, if Lily hadn't warned us, would you have gone through with it? The pause was long, painful, honest. Yes, Derek whispered. I think I would have, and that's what I have to live with for the rest of my life. Thank you, William said, for the honesty. Derek turned to leave, then stopped. Is there anything I can do? Anything at all to start making this right? This was it, the moment that mattered. I took a breath and delivered what Robert Hayes had called the most profound consequence. Yes, I said, there is one thing. Derek looked up, hope flickering in his eyes. Tell Lily the whole truth, not a softened version, not Daddy made a mistake, the real truth, that you and Jennifer planned to move us to a nursing home without asking, that you took our money, that you tried to take away our choices. Derek went pale. You want me to make her think I'm terrible? I want you to teach her that people she loves can fail her, that facing failure is the only path to real growth. Lily's hero-worshipping you right now, Derek. That's dangerous. She needs to see you're human, flawed, capable of cruelty even with good intentions. You're protecting her, Derek said slowly, from becoming me. I'm protecting her from valuing image over integrity. If I do this, she might not forgive me for years. William stood beside me. Then you'll understand exactly how we feel. Derek nodded once. Then he walked to his car, shoulders bent like he was carrying something impossibly heavy. Which he was. The truth. Derek kept his word. He had what he later described as the hardest conversation of my life with Lily. She was hurt, angry, confused. She stopped calling him Daddy for 3 weeks, calling him Derek instead. He told us this in an email. Brief, factual, not asking for sympathy, just reporting. She has every right to be angry. I won't defend myself to her. Sarah gave me the name of a child therapist. Lily starts next week. He also started his own therapy, sent us the receipts, not to prove anything, just transparency. He was working on codependency, childhood trauma from his own father being emotionally distant. William wept when he read that. The need to appear perfect. Jennifer's aftermath came through the grapevine. The Bellevue development deal with Michael Torres fell through. Market correction, bad timing. She lost $80,000 of her own money. She sent one email to our new address. You were right about everything. I hope that gives you some satisfaction. I never responded. There was nothing to say. William and I used the returned money to buy a small house 3 miles from Sarah's cabin. 2 bedrooms, a porch overlooking the water, a garden plot waiting for spring. This isn't exile, William said as we signed the papers. This is choosing. This is home, I agreed. We made friends in the local senior community, took a watercolor class, volunteered at the library, started living instead of just existing. But every night I looked at Lily's letters. She wrote every week now, sometimes just a few sentences, sometimes pages, and felt the pull of unfinished business. Sarah drove to Spokane to pick up Lily. Derek didn't come, respecting our boundaries. When Sarah's car pulled up and Lily jumped out, I started crying before she even reached the porch. Grandma! She flew into my arms, and I held her like I'd never let go. She was taller. Her hair was longer. But her eyes, those eyes that had warned us, saved us, were exactly the same. I missed you so much, she whispered into my shoulder. We missed you too, Butterfly. The weekend was magic. We baked chocolate chip cookies. William taught her how to build a birdhouse, the same way he'd taught Derek 40 years ago. We watched the stars and read Charlotte's Web together, finishing the last chapter with tissues in hand. Sunday evening, as the sun set over the lake, Lily and I sat on the porch swing. Grandma, can I ask you something? Always. Are you happy here? I thought carefully. Yes, in a way I wasn't before. Because you're away from us? No, sweetheart. Because I'm with myself again. Does that make sense? She thought about it, her face serious. Like when I need alone time in my room after school? Exactly like that. Do you forgive Daddy? I pulled her close. I'm working on it, Lily. Forgiveness isn't a light switch. It's a door that opens slowly, 1 inch at a time. Is the door open yet? Maybe a crack, maybe a little more each day. Can I help? I kissed the top of her head. You already are, just by being you. Our Montana house smelled like turkey and sage stuffing. The table was set for 6. William and me, Lily, Sarah, Doctor, Patricia Green, who had become a dear friend and trustee of Lily's fund, and Robert Hayes. Derek had driven Lily up that morning. He'd stayed in the car while she ran to the door. Happy Thanksgiving, Mom. Dad, he'd called from the driveway. Happy Thanksgiving, Derek, I'd called back. Could I pick her up tomorrow? Maybe see the house? William and I exchanged a look. A whole conversation in a glance. Tomorrow, I said. 4 o'clock. Thank you. His voice cracked. Thank you. Now, as we sat around the table, I raised my glass of apple cider. I'm grateful for this table, I said, for people who chose to be here, who showed up not because they had to, but because they wanted to. Lily raised her glass. She was 9 now, more grown up, but still wearing the locket. I'm grateful Grandma and Grandpa taught me that family is what you build, not just what you're born into. William smiled. And I'm grateful for second chances, even when they come from painful places. After dinner, after Lily had fallen asleep on the couch with a full belly, Sarah asked the question we'd all been thinking. So tomorrow, Derek sees the house. What happens? I looked out at the snow falling gently on the lake. I don't know. And that's okay. William took my hand. That woman you've become, the one who can say I don't know instead of needing all the answers, I'm proud of her. I'm proud of her too. Later, as I tucked Lily in, she whispered, Grandma, do you think Daddy will ever be okay again? I think, I said carefully, that he's learning. And learning is the first step to okay. I love him, she said, even though I'm still mad sometimes. You can do both, sweetheart. Love and anger can live in the same heart. Is that what you do? Every single day. When Derek arrived at 4, I invited him onto the porch. Not inside, not yet. But the porch was progress. We sat in silence for a while, watching Lily and William build a snowman. The house is beautiful, Derek said quietly. Thank you. I never wanted this, he said. You here, me there, this distance. I know, but Derek, you chose it. And now we're all living with that choice. I know. I'm trying to make different choices now. I can see that. More silence. Then, Mom, is there a future where we're family again? I watched Lily laugh as William put a carrot nose on the snowman. We're always family, Derek. Blood doesn't disappear. But the question isn't about titles. It's about trust. And trust takes time to rebuild. Years, maybe. I have years, he said. However long it takes. I looked at my son, really looked at him. The gray in his hair, the lines around his eyes, the genuine remorse in his face. Then start with today, I said. Stay for hot chocolate. Build a snowman with your daughter. Show up without expecting anything in return. That's where it begins. His eyes filled with tears. Just hot chocolate? Just hot chocolate. For now. Okay, he whispered. I can do that. And he did. We sat around the kitchen table. Derek, Lily, William, and me. We drank hot chocolate. We didn't talk about the past. We didn't make promises about the future. We just sat together. When Derek left, he hugged Lily, waved to us, and drove away. That night, William asked, How do you feel? Like I planted something, I said. I don't know if it'll grow, but I planted it. That's all we can do. I looked out at the lake, at the stars reflected on the water, at this life we'd built from the ashes of betrayal. We weren't victims anymore. We weren't even survivors. We were people who'd chosen themselves, set boundaries, demanded respect, and then, slowly, carefully, left the door cracked open for something new to grow. Not forgiveness that meant forgetting. Forgiveness that meant finally being free.